my colleagues on the board are here with me tonight, and I want to thank them for coming here tonight. We're really here on a listening tour because we haven't been consulted as to the impact on the public schools. And I do want to express my disappointment that the Board of Education was not involved in offering information and opinion as to the impact of the schools. I do find the numbers extremely troubling. I'm very worried about the impact of such a substantial housing unit on the public schools. I'm worried that the numbers presented tonight are low. I'm worried that 127 is a very low number estimated as to how many students we would anticipate. This will be a very difficult challenge for our school system to address, and I hope that the council fully takes that into consideration as they vote. Of course, we will do everything that we need to do as a Board of Education to use our public monies to provide the best education possible, but a large influx of students will be a major challenge. Thank you, Mr. President.
I now realize that I wasn't the only person who wasn't consulted. It was also the school board president. So thank you, folks. Anybody else wishing to be heard? Yes, sir.
The superintendent, right?
Correct. Point of order, Mayor. I'd like to make something clear.
Hold on a second. The president has the floor.
One second, Mayor. For those who don't have knowledge, Mrs. Joffrey, what happens in the litigation is that the courts, and I don't agree with this, but the courts do not take into account the impact on our school systems. I fought this. I had many, many, many discussions, and believe me, I totally disagree with that. But the reality is, they don't care. And when you go to court, you can't even bring it up. It's a non-issue. Of course, that is the main concern. That was the main concern.
Let's hear from the resident, please. Sir, the
Mayor,
floor is
when
yours.
I'm
Name
saying
and
something
address.
you want to hear, you just cut people off.
No,
Don't do that.
It's
disrespectful.
I asked you before if you had anything to say, and you didn't. Now all of a sudden we have the resident speaking, and you want to speak.
I'm answering her concern.
My name is Ralph Nachman. I've lived here for over 50 years, and I live on Floyd Street. So I have a very vested interest in what's going to happen as a consequence of these deliberations. I appreciate the clarity of the experts, and it certainly has helped me understand what the polar views are. My specific question to you, Mr. Mayor, is if we follow your thinking and your plans, what exactly do you want to do? What will be the impact on this community, and what's the economics of fighting this in the courts over a long period of time, given what seems to be the certainty of a high likelihood of losing if we follow what you have expressed in the beginning of this meeting?
That's a good question. So two things. One, we had a plan that Fair Share Housing was just about on board with. It was 77 units, and we could have squeaked out some more to satisfy this. This council stopped that. In terms of litigation, I always say, look, we need to fight for what's right. And I'd rather have a judge order me to do something stupid than do it myself, okay? And, by the way, there's another thing here that everyone's missing, is that Article 4 of Section 4, no, he had directed the question to me. So Article 4 of Section 4 of Article 4 of the U.S. Constitution guarantees you and me and everyone in this room a Republican form of government, okay? And hold on a second. And a Republican form of government means that people who are elected make decisions, not judges in Trenton and Hackensack, okay? Because now, I have not been able to get these gentlemen to fight that fight. And I think I could find other people who would. That's all I'm going to say.
Aside from your passion, I'd like to know from some consideration of expertise that we've heard, what's the projected economic impact of fighting this, and how long would it take?
Well, I think the speaker that came up second, Mr. Kalajian, made it very clear. You could spend a lot of money right now fighting, but what they're going to do is going to cost you money every year forever.
They're trying to minimize the impact.
Respond to that last one. Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. Oh, we brought in another law firm. Tom Troutner was brought in from a very major firm. He recommends settlement as well. So it's not me standing alone that's recommending settlement. You can be Don Quixote too. You can fight, you can spend a lot of money, and you can have a high risk of losing. Okay, so when Mr. Troutner looks at it from his perspective, he has joined me in my recommendation that this is a case that needs to be settled because there's a lot of risk. You can go down fighting, but you're going to lose control if you do that. So there is value in settlement.
So I
There's
spoke.
control that you can achieve.
Okay, I spoke with another law firm in Manhattan, a major law firm that is not afraid to take on a fight. Okay, not my firm. I'm sorry, sir.
My name is Norman Gurman. I'm a resident of Englewood Cliffs since 1967. And I was in the crisis in Vietnam. So needless to say, I'm accustomed to a fight.
Thank you for your. Thank you for your service.
I rarely get up at these meetings. In fact, I wasn't planning on being here. One of my neighbors called me and said, Norm, you've got to be there. Unfortunately, that we've come to this type of a meeting where the council seems to be opposed to the community that put them into their seats. I don't know how other communities function, but as far as I'm concerned, I would like to know a cost, which I haven't heard from anybody. I heard it's going to be a lot of money. I'd like to know an approximate cost of litigating this in court.
I can answer that.
Please. Wait. Let me hear from the council who told me it's going to be a lot of money.
Mr. Seretti, would you like to answer that?
This can cost, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Wow! Holy, my God! Hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's going to cost this town millions. What's the matter with you? We just determined that it's going to be roughly $6,500 a kid to come in. Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Let me finish. You've talked a lot. I'm a resident, I pay taxes. My point to you is very simple. We said before there'd be approximately 130 kids coming into the school. 130 kids bring in a revenue of roughly $6,500 a kid. Englewood education system is $13,000 or $14,000 a kid. That means we're going to have to make up the difference.
No, that's not.
Where the heck does that number come as comparison to all the experts? I don't understand this. A man comes into the community, buys a piece of property, says it's going to be residential, all of a sudden decides that he's going to put in residential housing, of which a segment of it will be low income or middle income or whatever it is, affordable housing, and we take this on the chin. I don't know Alpine, which has 2-acre zoning, Tenafly, what they wanted to do was that they wanted to put up single housing. They turned around and they turned it into green acres. Why is this community all of a sudden lost its gumption to fight what it believes in? I do believe that every community that needs affordable housing should have it. But I also know that if people want to give charity, as this gentleman just said, they should write a check. my time, I gave 6 years in the military. All right? That gives me the right to make these declarations. Now, we live in a community. You have not answered one thing other than it's going to be, you just said, a couple $100 grand. A couple $100 grand is crap. It's meaningless. Stop. Don't throw your numbers around. He just said a couple, he's the expert. You're not the expert. So let me hear you give me a reasonable understanding while this council, who was elected in our community at the last election, turned around and decided that we can afford 3 to 4 to 5 to 600 new people in this community, which will amount to millions of dollars. Why is it that all of a sudden, as I won't use the language. I'm polite. Please answer me.
Okay. I think some perspective is necessary.
I'm looking.
Number one, we do not have one affordable unit in this town.
I have said 77
Let me finish. There are
Stop
roughly
taking
60.
I'm here longer than you. Please respect.
I'm
here longer than you, so
You met him? You were born here.
Mr. Wunsch, sit down.
Forgive me. I'm sorry. I get a little carried away when I hear a lot of crap.
There are approximately 60 municipalities that have filed declaratory judgment actions to control their own destiny and present their own plan. Out of that number, I think there's 43, 48 that have settled. Almost all of the remaining are in some process of settling. So virtually all the municipalities in Bergen County, if they haven't settled, are well along the way to settle. Okay?
Now, the other question I have for you on a legal point is we just fought one of the major companies in the world on giving them 3 floors less than they wanted. And guess what? We won. How the hell are they able to fight them? And we can't fight some builder over here who's lying through his teeth. I don't understand these people. This is a community of residents. These are people, this is what they used to call commuters, that probably most of us work in the city. I don't work. All right. But that's not the issue. The point is, why are you choosing to lay down in a situation where you know that if you fought it, you would be able to get a better deal than what you got? Yes. You could also ask the judge, what do they call it? Recuse herself? Everybody recuses themselves. If she's such a phony, get another judge.
Mr. Gorman, thank you for your service in the military. Thank you for coming here.
I used to be on the Board of Justice with the original mayor of Parisi. So I know a little bit about town ordinance, even though I'm not in this business. Okay. Please
I can
continue.
tell you that when an expert such as myself looks at a case and assesses the risk, they come to the conclusions, whatever conclusions they've come to. It is in my self-interest to litigate this from here till the cows come home.
Maybe you're not the right lawyer.
I've made that's a major litigator from the Shahinian firm. And he's made the same recommendation as I have, that this is a case that we should settle. There's too much risk involved.
I think some of the misleading information is that you're under the impression that if we fight it, that it's not going to be built anywhere. And that, I think, is
I'm
one
not
thing
under that impression. I'm saying if you fight it, you'll get a better deal.
But
You don't negotiate by laying down.
right. But do you believe, sir, that if we fight, that there will not be any?
Absolutely not. The mayor said that he was thinking of working on the deal for 77. How does 77 run to 600? Or 800?
doesn't meet our obligation.
I understand what you're saying, but please understand, the audience here has been able to move this community because they got a little brains. They did not intend to all of a sudden have affordable housing in their backyard when they were told that everybody would be fighting for their benefit if the new council came into being. I'm going to run for office.
You should.
Please continue.
Enough, 3 minutes.
By all means.
3 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you, sir. Folks, there's chairs up here.
He won't go.
Hello, Ken Bowen, 178 Middlesex Ave. 178 Middlesex Avenue. I have a question. There's a few things I need clarification on. We're between a rock and a hard place. We're mandated, from what I'm hearing, to have, to more or less appease the number of units, fair housing. If we went ahead, I'm not trying to be presumptuous, throwing something out there. If we went ahead, we still have the litigation. The other question, and just to start, to show the courts that we're going in the right direction for fair housing, along with the numbers that we can project on our own, so to speak, the money wise. Then, my other question, Councilor, is
I'm not sure I understood the first question.
my statement, if the town took it upon, you said this, Terrace Place?
Hudson Terrace.
Hudson. If we went ahead and broke ground for fair housing to appease or meet that number, according to what the restrictions are within the state, Mount Laurel and so on. My other question to you, Councilor, Normandy has purchased the Liberty facility. 800.
Yes.
The old Lipton Tea building. That's how I know it.
Yes.
I worked there in 1960, so. But the point is, we're still going to have litigation, right? We're going to appease, we're going to meet the requirements that have long been overdue if the town, if we go according to the numbers that you had suggested. Correct? I'm just throwing it out there. It's feasible.
So we went in the right direction, having seen that nothing was built here since 1976. We took control of the property. We bought a building on Hudson Terrace. We had plans. We presented plans. Everything seemed to be going really quite in the right direction. The same experts, because experts are experts, right? They do what people tell them to
They're the
do,
attorneys.
right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
last year it was fine. This year, all of a sudden, it's not fine, and we're all surrendering. I'm not sure what happened.
If we took a consensus of the town, if the consensus of the town is in approval of, if we went according to the requirements on the other properties, as opposed to the zoning, because all those buildings are zoned commercial. And if we maintain those commercial, we're still fighting the litigation. We're going ahead, breaking ground to meet some of the requirements for the fair housing. Would that be comparable? I'm just throwing it out there. Why?
Look, my view is, if it's a commercial zone, that's where people need to go to work, to earn a living, to pay
Correct.
taxes, right? You can't take a commercial property and all of a sudden decide because there's fair share housing and there's a developer planning.
No, maybe I didn't make that clear. I'm saying maintain 800 Sylvan as a commercial.
Right.
Not residential.
Of course.
No. And in lieu of the Hudson Terrace, if you build houses on there.
That's what we want to do.
That's,
Well, that's what-
if we went ahead and did it. If the town, the consensus of the people here.
Well, we
I
don't know if...
Maybe I'm wrong.
Look, I think it's certainly a step in the right direction, and that's what we wanted to do. Keep 800 Sylvan commercial and build, build on Hudson Terrace, and then do overlay zones. The sisters wanted to build a couple things. I met with the if they actually want to build units there on their own dime.
We have an area that's commercially zoned, 800. Now, again, we maintain that. That's all I'm asking.
I agree.
We maintain that and build something other way. If, maybe, listen, you're the attorney, I don't know the laws, but I'm just throwing something out there.
Okay, let me try to clarify something. We have a quota, if you will, 584. We've argued, we've submitted an aggressive plan that says we're entitled to adjust that number down to 77. Here's how we're going to do that. The problem with that plan is, in a litigation mode, our adversaries are arguing that adjustment shouldn't be down to 77. It should be more like 200 or 300, that our obligation should be 200 or 300. There's a great deal of risk in what that adjustment would be, and there's a very good chance, and I have to be guarded, because we're still in litigation, that that number could be substantially, that number could be substantially greater than 77. And that raises, let me finish, and that raises the issue of who gets to cure the shortfall. And there's a substantial possibility that you don't get to cure the shortfall. And at the end of the day, instead of having a plan that's managed, that addresses a specific number in as best a way as you can manage that, you lose control and you have a much bigger number and you lose control of your community.
Maybe I'm not getting the point. I'm just thinking, if we went ahead and started building on Hudson Terrace, X number of units to maintain, again, no? But the litigation on a residential, we're making taking commercial, making it residential.
That's how we're in the Normandy proposed a corporate. So Normandy made a corporate development application to our planning board that was denied.
Yes.
That is why we're sitting here today.
That's exactly what happened. The planning board turned down the commercial application, and that is why we're in the mess that we're in today. And it was Cran Jack's planning board, the Cran Jack appointees that turned that commercial application down, and that's why we're in the mess. He'll never call on me because he doesn't want to hear the truth. I'm telling the truth. Your planning board turned down a commercial application for 800 Sylvan Avenue, and that's why we have this mess today.
Thank you. That's right.
He's telling the truth.
He's not running it. He's only calling that Republican.
Oh, by the way, one of the executives at Normandy did admit that they never intended to do anything
that's
commercial
bullshit.
there. So our planning board,
You're a liar.
Russ Marino did a great job.
He's a liar.
And I heard it with my own ears, okay?
Show us the proof.
You guys can't be yelling out like that. Mr. Senator has the floor.
Hi, Tony Senator, 36 Rock Road. I just really have one simple question. Does senior housing meet the criteria of low-income housing or the Fair Act?
It can, but only for a percentage of your obligation. Part of the plan that was presented tonight had senior as part.
So this is what I'm thinking, you know, we don't have the problem with the children and the
Right.
effect on the Board of Ed, so, and I'm a builder myself, but just kind of idea, I was just talking to the chief of police about this, and I'm not sure about it, that's why I asked.
No, I think it's a good question, and part of the plan that was discussed tonight did indeed involve senior housing.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Citizens of peace.
Another Republic.
Here's one that voted, just turned down the application.
Yeah.
Good job, Mary.
Mrs. Mayor, you need to stop.
You'll never call on me, so So what's the difference?
Mr. Mistretta and Mr. Serenian and Mr. Wunsch, before the meeting, I told you I was very disappointed in the three of you, and I really am. I have met with Mr. Mistretta and Mr. Serenian, and I've listened to you on more than one occasion,
Apparently free speech is not.
and you had proposed two plans before this evening. One plan, the first plan, was for 40 units on the Hudson Terrace property with the Dower building in the parking lot, the Lions Club, and the tennis court. The second plan was the 57 units with the 20% bonus, the 20-unit bonus, which raised objections from some of the community because of the relocation of the police department. But what you propose tonight is so contrary to everything that you told us at the January 7th Planning Board meeting. You totally switched gears, okay, when this new council and Mrs. Tabari got on the council, okay? You totally switched gears. You always said we were complying, we were going to hit the sweet spot with the town and with the court. The first was 40 units, the second was 57. Additional overlay zones and other areas identified for affordable housing. Each of these proposed plans were not, under your words, set in stone. As you said, they have said on January 7th. They were preliminary plans that needed to be done before the January court date. That plan needed to be approved by the planning board, which it was on the 7th, and then by the mayor and council, which it was on the 24th. So please tell me why you changed directions after January 24th. With upward of 40 total units constructed at 800 Sylvan, our schools will not be able to accommodate extra children resulting from this development. Schools and children continue in perpetuity to continue to cost and increase in cost over the years. And two of the things that has always made Englewood Cliffs a desirable community. Number one, good schools, always good schools. Number two, low taxes. And you just blew those two things right out the window with your plan. Mrs. Tabari and Mrs. Geiger were both present at the January 7th meeting and expressed the idea that we should build an 800 Sylvan by the developer and not spend our money. But we have already used COA funds to purchase the Dower building and the parking lot on Clendenning Place for 100% affordable housing. That purchase was approved by the mayor and council in 2018. Ellen Park, Ed Aversa, and Gloria O were on the council. They voted for it. That was over $1 million in COA funds. If the remaining council members, Aversa, O, Park, did not agree with the plan, why did they approve the purchase? If Aversa, O, and Park, Sabari, and Song did not agree to give the 57 100% affordable units on borough-owned property, why did they vote to approve the plan on January 24th? I'm very disturbed that after January 7th presentation to the planning board, you commented about working with the planning board. You mentioned working with the planning board, and then you stopped cold after January 7th. Were you advised not to include the planning board in the process? Were you told by council not to include the planning board chairman, Russ Perino, in the process? Why did you change from what you said was the way to proceed? Working with the 80-20 set-aside appears to be put a substantial burden on the residents of our town. Ms. Tabari and Mr. Song campaigned on stopping residential housing at 800 Sylvan. You lied to the residents to get their